you say Allah is one, and Allah is the independent, and besought of all, He begets not, nor He is begotten, and there is none like unto Him. And this is Suratul Ikhlas. Then Surah Falq is there. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, ever merciful. You say that I seek the refuge in the Lord of the dawn, and I seek refuge in the Lord of the dawn, and from the min sharri ma khalaq, and from the evil that which He has created, and from the evil of darkness when it overspreads, and from the evil of those who blow up upon the knots of mutual relationship to undo them, and from the evil of the envier when he envies. And then Surah An-Nas, the translation is that in the name of Allah, who is most gracious and merciful, you say that I seek refuge, the Lord of the mankind, the King of mankind, the God of mankind, from the evil whispering of the sneaking whisperer, who whispers into the hearts of the people from among who whispers into the hearts of the men from among the jinn and men. Huzur says these are the last three verses, the chapters. The first one is Surah Ikhlas. It is known as, and this is the proper name. In this, Allah Almighty has mentioned His unity and His being eternal and everlasting, and also complete in His attributes and perfect in His knowledge, and His being limitless. In few words, all these attributes have been mentioned. And mentioning all these things, Hadhrat Masih, the promised Messiah ﷺ, says that in the Holy Qur'an, Allah the Almighty, regarding His attributes, He says, Qul huwallahu ahad, Allah samad, lam yalid walam yulad, walam yakul lahu kufuwan ahad. That our God is that God who is in His attributes and in His person is absolutely one, and there is no one eternal and everlasting like Him, nor the attributes of anything are similar to His attributes. The knowledge of a human being is depending on a teacher, and it depends on a teacher, and then it's also limited. But his knowledge is not depending for any teacher. He has not learnt anything from any teacher, and nonetheless he is complete, and he knows about everything. And the hearing ability of the human being is depending on the ear, and if the ear is not there, and then you cannot hear properly. And we can listen to some extent, but we can listen up to a certain distance, not beyond that. But the hearing ability of God is by His person ability, and is unlimited, and there is no need of any medium for that. Yes, those conditions which Allah Almighty has put, you fulfill that and beg everything from Allah Almighty. And then He said that anything made by human being is depending on the light. If the light is not there, we cannot see. But Allah Almighty sees with His personal light, and there is no need of any external light, and He is unlimited. And similarly, the ability of creation for human being is depending on the matter, and then it is also limited. But the ability of creation by God is not depending on any matter, nor there is any other thing on which it depends. And He can do whatever He likes whenever He likes, because all His attributes are immaculate. And if there is no one similar to Him, and there is no one having those qualities which he has does not have any attributes, and there is no comparison of his attributes. If he is imperfect in one capability, then he will be imperfect in all capabilities, attributes. So therefore this unity cannot be established unless he, like his person in his attributes as well, he is absolutely unique and unparalleled. And then Allah Almighty says that the meaning is there that Allah Almighty is neither the son of somebody nor he has produced a son, because he is independent by himself. He is a Samad, he is not in need of anything, he is independent, there is no end, and he is not in need of any son. He is eternal, and there is no father. He is not in need of father nor in the need of son. He said this is the unity of Allah Almighty which Allah Almighty has taught us, which is actually the crux of the of faith, and all our faith is based on this belief. And if you believe in this unity, then only then your faith will be complete. And if you don't have the belief in this unity of Allah Almighty, then your faith is also not complete. The word as-samad, which has been used, which means independent, in that the argument of Allah's existence is also mentioned, and his being independent is also becomes a proof of his being one. And the meaning of samad is independent, that he is not depending on anything else, nor he is going to perish at any time, and all other things are going to vanish, but he stays all the time, and they are depending on other things. In the world we see that when in order to see something in the world, other things are affecting that thing, and without the impact of the other things, nothing can exist in this world. This life, nor a life of the person can sustain, nor the life of any animal can sustain, or other things can exist who are there existing without the impact of any other thing. And also they are perishable. Their time is going to come when they will finish and perish. So this is only the existence of Allah Almighty. Nothing can affect that, nor it is going to perish at all, at any time. So this God Almighty, with all these mighty powers, who is in existence from eternity, and it is going to survive for all the time. This is the cord of Islam, who is absolutely one, who without the help of or depending upon anything else, he is able to create the result, or he is able to perform anything he likes. The experience of that, many people would have the experience through the acceptance of the prayer. They must have the experience of that, and many people have the experience. Sometime we don't have the means to get something, we do not have the ability to get something, and in order to perform something, when we have to do it immediately, and it is only the prayer, and with the prayer, without making any effort at all, and without any effort on our part, and that job is done, and that result is there. And Allah Almighty creates all these things. And the experience of this is all the time to the people. And somebody was asked that what is the reason for believing in God, and what are the things you are most impressed by that through your personal experience. So I told him that the personal reason is only the experience, and certain experiments were there, experience that there is a limited time, and there is no other way, and there is no means and no resources there. Only it could have been done only through prayer, which I did, and Allah Almighty Allah Almighty created the result of that. And Allah Almighty showed the result. And He accepted my prayer. And as I said, in this there are people, they write their experience. So this thing for us is a very sound reason for the existence of Allah. And apart from that, this argument is also there, that He is the absolutely one God. He is the only one who listens to our prayers. And He is the one who, as a result of these prayers, because He has said that you pray to me and I will accept. And when in a special condition a person prays to Allah, then Allah Almighty accepts those prayers. So this is the existence of God and also the proof of His attributes. Allah the Almighty says in the Holy Qur'an, I am the God who is one and absolutely one, and there is no one partner with Him. And then I am a Samad, the independent. And the meaning of that is that He is the leader, and without the help of Him nothing can be achieved, nothing can be done. And He is an eternal being, and He is the highest being. He is that being to which at the time of need people always turn to Him, and the people always go to Him. And it is the misfortune of the Muslims that from the mouth they say Allahu Akbar, and they say As-Samad, that Allah Almighty is independent, but practically their actions are against that. So much so this Ummah, which is called the Muslim Ummah, who and they are the servants of the Holy Prophet, and they are considered to be like that they are very pious. This the unity of Allah Almighty and the attribute of independent and the best recognition is done by those people who really understand it. But these people, their condition is that instead of believing Allah Almighty as Samad, the independent, and considering Allah Almighty that He can help them in all situations, and turning to Him for that purpose, and this thinking and considering this, that Allah Almighty is the being that without the help of that no work can be done, nothing can be achieved. But at the same time, the worldly gods, they always turn to them and go to them. And the Western press, this relationship between Saudi Arabia and Qatar, regarding that, they openly say very much that Saudi Arab and the differences between them and Qatar, and these differences that have and what reservations they have between their relationship, they were there for a long time, and so many incidents happened in between, and mutually there was a conflict between them and tension was there, but it did not go to that extent, and they were silent because the America was also not very much involved in that. America was not there, but the president of America visited Saudi Arabia there. Then he planned all these things, and for the guidance of the Muslim Ummah, and when from America this green signal was received by them, then on the basis of that, fair or unfair, all these restrictions they put on Qatar. If there are mutual problems between them, so then they should have sit together and they should try to resolve these problems between them, and not that they should be going to non-Muslim governments. And this is the greatest tragedy of this time for the Muslim countries, that we on petty issues we just go and seek the help of others and we act upon their policies. And because of that, according to the news, we are trying to run the affairs like that. Not only this much, but Allah the Almighty, who says that I am that being without the help of which nothing can be achieved. I am the highest and the greatest, and I am that being, that you should always come to Him with your needs and requirements. You should come to God. And that government which in order to make the Ummah-e-Wahida one united community, which should have been the most important role to play in that, they are getting help from other people. They get the help from others. One Muslim country, in order to put them into difficult situation, then they have their own agendas, and or whatever is told to them, those objectives are not being achieved, they are put into hardship, and the efforts are being done for that. And one of those things, one demand of them is that that Qatar should sever their ties with Iran. Or some other demands like that, and which some people denied, and as a result of that, there is a fear of tension being created in that region. When these people, this is the condition of these people, that when Ahmadis, when they declared the Ahmadis to be non-Muslims, so then it is said that we are all united and we are one, and the Ahmadis are non-Muslim. And when their own worldly affairs are there now, then in the guise of religion, they are slandering other people and putting blames on one another, and they want to cut the ties with Iran because they are Shia. Or they do not fulfill the agenda of Saudi Arabia. Anyway, Huzur says this is a great misfortune of these people, that the worldly powers, they consider them greater than the power of Allah Almighty, and they always turn to Him. Allah Almighty says that you come to me and get help and beg help from me. But these people always go to their worldly gods. Allah Almighty have mercy on the Muslim Ummah. Allah the Almighty, showing His mercy, has sent the Imam of this age. But they are denying him. And those who believe in him, they are declaring them the kafirs, the non-believers. And as a result of this disbelief, their own what is their own condition of the Muslim Ummah? They consider that America or any other big power, they are going to give the guarantee for the stability of these Muslim countries. This is their grave misunderstanding. By uttering the name of Islam, when they don't turn to God Almighty, they depend on God Almighty, then these people will not be able to do anything. Either they should leave the name of Islam and they should just go out of that and turn to these worldly leaders, and then it's okay. But if they are uttering the name of Allah, so then they have to depend on God Almighty, and they cannot work like that. Only they will have to believe, and they will have to be firmly established in this point, that power and the real power is entirely in the hand of Allah. And then from their own claims, or from their claims and slogans, but in reality they have to turn to that God who is the master of all the power, and they will have to accept whatever God says. Only then the problems can be solved. By turning to these people, they are involved in the setting up of partners, and most of the people do not even believe in the existence of God among them, and because of shirk and setting up of partners with Allah Almighty, and they believe in God having a son, and Allah Almighty says that there was no father to me and no son to me. But the people, despite claiming to be a Muslim, they are turning to such people. They have such a belief. Then these people, how is it possible that these people can be called the people who believe in Allah? Actually, they really do not know what Allah is. And as I mentioned earlier on, that the only solution is that which Allah Almighty has mentioned, which Allah Almighty, showing mercy to the Muslim Ummah, has given to them. And the only way to be saved from this danger of this, after Surah Ikhlas, then Allah Almighty has mentioned in Surah Falak. After that, He has drawn the picture of that, and Allah Almighty has given the prayers, and the ways has been explained, and the Muslim people, they read these chapters, but they do not go into the depth of the meaning. Hadhrat Masih Maud Islam, explaining this subject in one place, he says that I seek refuge in the Lord of the Dawn from the evil of that which He has created, and I come into the protection of Allah. And I from the night I come into the protection of Allah, because this time is like a pitch dark night because of the problems. So the mighty powers, so these faculties, God's power, are needed in order to change the darkness of this light. At this time, in order to get the light, anyone who seeks that will not be attained through the worldly powers. For that, the spiritual divine powers are needed. And he says that from the worldly powers this job cannot be achieved. Then he said that in this chapter, and the protection of that Allah Almighty has been sought, that He is the one going to help them. And when the Muslim are going to sit, and the condition of the Muslims have been mentioned, and the condition of the other people have also been mentioned. And these people also wish, and they also wish that the glory that we have lost, that should be attained once again, and whatever prominence they had, that should be achieved by them again. He said, the promised Messiah said, the spiritual divine powers are needed. Without the help of Allah, this cannot be achieved. Allah the Almighty, He tells them that when a time is going to come, that means that time which is the time of the conspiracies against Islam, and there was a time there was conspiracies against Islam, and socially and financially there were some plans like that, and they were reaching its climax. So then Allah Almighty, according to His promise, He sent the promised Messiah ﷺ, and whatever their objections were there, they were solved, and they were replied by the promised Messiah. And he replied in such a way that the anti-Islamic forces, they were compelled but to run away from competition. And then we also see that the promised Messiah ﷺ, he has answered the other allegations. In his literature, the replies there. Now the anti-Islamic forces, with the new tactics, new designs, and with the new arguments, they are trying to attack Islam. So the reply of that is, the promised Messiah ﷺ has already given the reply, and he has explained that very clearly. And the promised Messiah ﷺ has mentioned that the divine powers, they are needed in this weak period for the Muslims, and these divine powers in this age, Allah Almighty has granted to the people through the promised Messiah ﷺ. So this question does not arise that deviating from his teaching or deviating from him, you can dispel the darkness. It is impossible. Maybe doctrinal difference, as he has defeated his enemies in the doctrines, though he used to say that there is a son to God, and the Muslims on this, and some Muslims started believing in that. In that age, there were 100,000 of Muslims who became Christians. He refuted this Christian claim by arguments, and he dumbfounded the enemies of Islam and protected these Muslims from going into their side. And whether the promised Messiah ﷺ, they may issue the edicts of disbelief to the promised Messiah, but the ulama at that time, them and some ulama of this age as well, they do accept this thing today, that the promised Messiah ﷺ, he was gifted the knowledge of the Holy Qur'an, and he also a very vast knowledge apart from the Qur'an. The Bible's knowledge was also there, and because of that, they admit that he simply dumbfounded the enemies of Islam and made them speechless. Now the mullahs, whatever they may say today, but the opponents of Islam, in order to confront them, anyway, the light that is needed, the light from God that is needed at this time, that has descended through the promised Messiah ﷺ. And without that, there is no way out for anybody, and to get the light. Without that, it is impossible. But for their own purposes, they are weakening the Islam, and because of the opposition to the promised Messiah, because of that, these people, they are weakening the status of Islam. They are weakening Islam just because of their opposition to the promised Messiah ﷺ. Because as the promised Messiah has mentioned in one place, that these are the people of a feminine attitude, and the creating mischief is in their nature. He says those ulama, the ulama of Islam, who do not want to leave their folly and mistake, and through their selfish ideas they want to create disorder, and they have the feminine attitude, and they are unable to confront a man of God. Only their own criticism and objections, they just want to present those things, and they have twisted the Islamic teaching, and they are making deviations in that, and also creating some other confusions, and they have created such problems because of their views that apparently it appears that they cannot be solved, and this is what these people want. So in reality, the fact is that their selfish egos and selfish desires, because of that, this is the cause of that. And because of these things, these ulamas, these scholars, they have put the Muslim Ummah on the wrong track. Wherever you go, they do not have any sound argument to reject the message of Ahmadiyyat and to reject the claim of the promised Messiah ﷺ. They don't have any solid reason at all. In Aljazair, the wave of opposition is going on, and all the so-called ulama over there. So the promised Messiah has mentioned that in order to be protected from the mischief of these people, Allah Almighty has taught the prayer. So this prayer should be made very often, that from these mischief we seek the protection of Allah Almighty, and also we want to seek the protection from these people. We come into the protection of Allah, those people who are jealous, and they are thinking of the various ways of jealousy, and also we seek protection from the envier when he envies. So these are the people who are having this jealousy, and they are envious, and these are the people, and to be protected from their evil design, we have to come to the protection of Allah and seek the protection of Allah. And as it is, I have mentioned earlier on, that the enmity of the Saudi Arabia that against the Qatar is because of that the Qatar has got relationship with Iran, and they have also put up a front against Turkey, and they want to break the ties with Turkey in order to this is one of the conditions for the good relations with Qatar. If the Qatar breaks the tie with Turkey, so then we will consider whether we mend our relationship or not. And regarding other countries, Muslim countries, in which internal mischief is going on there, and sort of trial, and because of sectarianism the disorder is there, but behind this sectarianism, the so-called ulama, they have a role to play. They are playing a role. They are involved in that, and that's another thing, that the solution to this problem is the light from God. As the promised Messiah ﷺ has mentioned, there is no way out except this, and this light has been sent through the promised Messiah ﷺ, and that is the light which is now going to resolve all the trials among the Muslims and to make them one united Muslim Ummah. Now you see, these people have got no fear of God in their heart. The Muslims are shedding the bloods of Muslims. In Pakistan, yesterday 40-50 people, they were killed in Pakistan through the bomb attack, and in Iraq and Syria many people have died, and they are still dying there, more and more people, and this is happening almost every day. So they have become so bold among these mischief creators, and in the name of Islam and the name of religion, they are shedding the bloods of other people. And last year, on the attack there was an attempt of terrorism on the Masjid Nabawi, and this year on the Haram, on the Khana Kaaba, again there was an attempt of terrorism. It is the blessing of Allah Almighty that this effort was unsuccessful, and the culprits have been arrested. And now it is not impossible that they might do some other mischief. And if they had been successful, then there would have been horrible catastrophe for those people who have gone there for Umrah. They call themselves Muslim and create this disorder, and they do it there, which has been the house of peace, and where any type of fighting or disorder is completely forbidden. So they do these sort of things over there. And sometime they want to kill the people and also create disorder, and then in the name of Islam, in the Western countries, the terrorism and bloodshed is being done. And looking at that, the anti-Islamic forces and people, they get the opportunity to criticize and defame Islam, and so that they can declare Islam as the religion of terror. And Islam should be declared as the enemy of peace and harmony. And for this purpose, the promised Messiah ﷺ has guided us from the very beginning that in the name of jihad, this terrorism which is being committed and done, that is totally against the Qur'anic teaching. And anybody who acts upon that one, he is doing against the Islamic teachings, the Qur'anic teaching, and he would be punished by God. So therefore, because of attachment with the promised Messiah ﷺ, it is the Ahmadis who in every field, they are always giving silencing reply to the enemies of Islam. This thing, they can make them silent and speechless. And this is quite clear that in this dark age, there was a need of divine light in this age, and all this disorder that we see today, that actually needs the divine light. And Allah Almighty, when He taught this prayer, so that was in a way a sort of prophecy that a time is going to come, and it will continue to come, when these darknesses will spread, and in those darknesses you would have to come into the protection of Allah Almighty. But along with that, Allah Almighty has also taught the prayer and made the prophecy that those people, and Allah Almighty also provided the means of this divine light. So whether the people go to this light or they try to seek another means, unless and until the one who has been sent by Allah Almighty and do not obey and whatever He says, then in no way in their countries, in their governments, in their divisions and sections, the love and affection, that atmosphere cannot be created at all. There will be trials in the Muslim countries, and mutually in between they will continue to fight, and there will be disorder in the countries and also the outside, and they will be fighting with others. Allah Almighty, this prayer which is in Surah Falaq, that He taught for this very purpose, that in this period of darkness, when there will be divisions among the community, then you come to God and you should be attached to that person whom Allah Almighty has told in Revelation that all the Muslims who are on the surface of the earth, you put them together and make them united community. So if you want to gain power, and if you have to fight against Antichrist, if this Gog and Magog, if you have to come out of the plans of these powers, then without holding the hand of the promised Messiah, it is impossible. So in order to be protected from these mischief and from the jealous people, there is no other path beside this path. From the words of Mat, وَمِن شَرِّ غَاسِقٍ إِذَا وَقَبْ وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدْ, that should be said. And the Muslims, because they are not doing it like that, they are going into the lap of other people, and in all the they are groping into darkness and falling deeper and deeper into it, and the Muslims are the most notorious people at this time. They have got a bad name, and the worldly governments and their amenities and facilities that they have, and the affluence and the progress, they consider that this is the means of their survival. But the fact of the matter is that because of that, they are actually going far away from God Almighty, and they are earning the wrath of Allah Almighty and displeasure of God. So in order to be protected from this mischief, the Muslims, they have to ponder very seriously, and it is also the Ahmadis, we Ahmadis should also do the effort that wherever they have to understand this subject, min sharri nafasat, and they should protect them from those enemies who blow up the knots, and also to be well protected from the jealousy and envy, and they should pay attention to this prayer which they have been taught. And as it has happened many times, I have mentioned many times, this is very important point mentioned by the promised Messiah, that without the divine light that has come through the promised Messiah, and it has to spread like that. And after that, because the system introduced by the promised Messiah, the system of Khilafat which was initiated by him, that has to remain there. So then it is going to, this light will spread through the Khilafat. And with the progress of the Jamaat and against the institution of the Khilafat, the jealousy of these people will increase. So therefore it is the responsibility of each and every Ahmadi to pray, and also they should get very close attachment with the institution of Khilafat. In Surah Nas, the next is the Surah Nas. Allah Almighty has mentioned the means of being protected from this disorder, and that is the worship of Allah Almighty, and do full justice to that, then you will be well protected from all these dangers. And you break your internal statues and outside as well, and try to be well protected from your inner mischief and also from the external problems and mischief, and also pray for that Allah the Almighty keep us always well protected from that. The Surah Falak and Surah Nas, regarding these two chapters, the Hadhrat Masih Maud has mentioned that particularly these are related with the time of the promised Messiah, and all those problems which are related to this period and the conditions of the world, it is related to that, and this solution of that has been mentioned. Therefore every Ahmadi, they should go into the deeper meaning of that and recite considering all these things. In Surah Nas, three main attributes of Allah Almighty has been mentioned. Allah Almighty, then His protection should be sought in Rabbin Nas, Malikin Nas, and Ilahin Nas. that He is the Lord of the mankind, King of mankind and God of mankind. And Allah Almighty has shown the light on this point, that when very clever, jealous people will be there, then to confront these people, you cannot do it except with the divine light. And without the help of Allah Almighty, you cannot confront these people. The promised Messiah ﷺ says that the greatest point of worry is that people have got misunderstanding regarding the divinity of Allah Almighty. As when the people see a lot of wealth with other people, people think that as if they are the provider, they are the nourisher. Allah Almighty says that therefore you have to take the protection of Rabbun Nas, the Lord of the universe. And then the worldly kings and rulers, they consider that these are the people in power and might. And regarding that, he has mentioned that Malik in Nas is Allah Almighty, King of mankind is Allah Almighty, and there is no one else. Then, and one reason of the misunderstanding of the people, that they create the mankind as equal to God, and they are afraid of them, of these people. They have their fear in their hearts, so they start fearing from these from mankind, from the people. So Allah Almighty has mentioned Ilahin Nas, that He is the God of mankind. And He has said that the one who whispers and creates mischief, that is Satan, it attacks from hiding. So therefore, you pray to be protected from these hidden attacks, and always be firmly rooted in this point, that and come into the protection of Allah. Try to come into that protection, who is your Lord, and these apparent things who are made God, He is the God of all those things, who is the Malik and the proprietor of all, and He is the proprietor of everything. His kingdom spreads to all the people. So there is no need of being afraid from the worldly kingdoms. Rather, have the fear of Allah. And also you come into the protection of that worthy of worship, who is the real God to be worshipped, and try to do full justice in that worship. And apart from that one who is worthy of worship, if there are some other gods, so they cannot do any good to you. So the real, true relationship should be with that God, that Ilah, that God. You have to have that with Him. And always remember that the one who is giving you the provision and giving the nourishment, that is only one God. So you be attached to that God. And to the believers and the whole members of the Muslim Ummah, they have been given this teaching, that these worldly powers who consider themselves as the master and the Lord, so then if they give this impression that if you have get the benefit, if you have got to make your problems easy, if you have to get progress, then you submit to us and worship us. If they say it, then you remember this point at that time, that such gods, they are not right. The real master, the real God is Allah the Almighty. And if you have a relationship with that God, then no worldly power, no satanic force, no effort and no method can give you any harm at all. Allah Almighty give the wisdom to the Muslim Ummah, so that they may understand this point, and Allah Almighty give us the full understanding and conviction of this thing, and we should be firmly rooted in that. After that, Huzur says that I am going to draw the attention to certain prayers, and we will say collective prayers in that way. Allah Almighty Allah Almighty bless all the Muslims and grant them the power that they should abstain from all types of weaknesses, and understanding the message of God, they should and understanding the objective of the advent of the promised Messiah, they should recognize that, and they should try to come into his initiation, and they can get all the power and help from God Almighty. And similarly, and from all the Ahmadis, grant them the progress in their conviction and belief, to all Ahmadis. And for worldly, the Muslim Ummah in general, pray for them that Allah Almighty give them the unity and oneness. Now, because of this division among them, the enemies are benefiting, exploiting these things. And the other wealth which Allah Almighty has given to the Muslims, the enemies are taking benefit out of that. And may Allah, that submitting to Allah Almighty, all these Muslim people, they follow the will and command of Allah, so that Allah Almighty have mercy upon these people. And for the Ahmadiyya Jamaat International, and for all members of the community, and Allah Almighty keep all of them in protection, protect them from all the mischief. In some countries there are some restrictions and difficulties for certain reason, and Allah Almighty give them steadfastness. And all of them, they should be closely attached to the administration of Jamaat, and also the understanding of the position of Khilafat should be granted to them. They should understand. For Waqifin, devotees of life, pray for them. Allah Almighty enable them to, in the field, enable them to fulfill their covenant of dedication. Waqfino members, remember them in your prayers. And those of them who are in the field already, Allah Almighty enable them to serve the cause of Islam, Ahmadiyyat, and enable them to serve. And those who are under education, Allah Almighty enable them to complete their education. Allah Almighty, from the evil of the Antichrist, Allah Almighty protect all the people, and all their ill devices and their ill plans. Allah Almighty protect us all. For the martyrs of Ahmadiyyat and their families, remember them in your prayers. Allah Almighty keep them under His protection and protect them from our evil, and also any sort of worry in future. For those who are in prison, for their early freedom, please pray for them. They may be coming out of prison. Allah Almighty give satisfaction and solace to their family members. And those people who are suffering various problems, Allah Almighty remove their anxieties. The recovery to the sick people, health to the people, and those people who are under penalties in various businesses, Allah Almighty, because of their inability, if they have gone into that state, the financial loss that they have suffered, Allah Almighty deliver them from these situations. And for the elders of the community, and those who are being targeted of injustice at the hand of others, or because of some ill thoughts, and Allah Almighty make the life easy for them. And for all people of the world, pray for them that Allah Almighty protect them from financial problems and trials. And there are conflicts between men and women. They are increasing in the community and also in the world. So Allah Almighty, both the men and women, Allah Almighty remove these problems from them, and they should and Allah Almighty enable them to live amicably and lovingly. And those people who have been deprived their rights, may Allah protect them. Allah Almighty remove their anxieties and worries. And for such girls, regarding there are problems in their matrimonial matches, so Allah Almighty remove their problems and situations. And for the students, for unemployed people, and the businessmen, and the people under responsibility, and those who are implicated in cases, remember, for all these people, Allah Almighty remove their problems and worries. Darweshane Qadian, and for the residents of Rabwa, pray for them. Allah Almighty create the atmosphere of ease for them, and particularly because of the Al-Jazair, the members of the community, are being targeted because of religion. Allah Almighty give them steadfast and also remove their worries and anxieties. And Allah Almighty help the mankind in general. And this period of trial for the Jamaat, that this period should finish. Pray for that. Particularly, this prayer we should repeat very often. Allahumma mazzikum kulla mumazzakin sahikum tasika. And Allahumma inna najaluka fi nurihim wa na'udhu bika min shururihim. These prayers should be recited very often. And similarly, the Tahrik-e-Jadid and Waqf-e-Jadid, those who have participated in paying their contributions and taken part in it, Allah Almighty bless them. Then in various capacities, those people who are serving the community, Allah Almighty increase their ability to serve and enable them to serve the community honestly. The workers of MTA, pray for them. Allah Almighty enable them, that have mercy on them and enable them to dedicate the work. Many people are in the world, they are working on volunteer basis. Allah Almighty reward those people, the volunteers. The various calamities, the heavenly calamities, in order to be protected from that, please pray that wherever the people are being affected, Allah Almighty remove their anxieties and save them from destruction. There is a prayer which is at the moment of anxiety. La ilaha illallahul lazi Rabbul Arshil Azim, La ilaha illa Rabbus Samawati wal Arzi Rabbul Arshil Kareem. That there is no one worthy except Allah. He is the most beneficent and kind, and there is no one worthy of worship, who is the master of the heaven and the earth, and he is the Rabb of the all the universe. We should pray to God, and then this prayer is there, should be recited. Allahumma inni nasaluka hubbaka wa hubba man yuhibbuka wallamal allazi yuballighuni hubbaka Allahumma jal hubbahi ahabba ilayya min nafsi wa ahli wa min al-ma'il barid. That, O my Allah, I seek your protection and also get the help of those people who love you, and that love which can take me to your love. And Allah, make it this way that your love should be from my family, and from all people it should be dearer to me. Your love should be dearer to me. And the one who changes the heart, you establish my heart on this conviction and belief. And this prayer should also be, I have mentioned it several times before, that I come into the protection from all types of problems, and I seek your pure protection, and I cannot count your blessings, and you are just like as you have praised yourself. I cannot do it myself. And then there is another prayer that, O my Allah, that you do not kill me through your wrath, and protect us before the calamity comes to us. Allahumma inni a'udhu min zawali ni'matika wa tahawwuli afiyatika wa fujati nikmatika wa jamii sukhatika. O my Allah, that some goodness should be taken away, or some mercy should be taken away, and I seek protection from all those things which are displeasing to you. Hadhrat Promised Messiah has said that this prayer, which is the prayer of Hadhrat Adam, that should be said by all the people, because this prayer has already been accepted by Allah Almighty, and Allah Almighty will accept whenever such prayer is made, because once it has been accepted earlier on. This is the prayer from the Qur'an. Rabbana zalamna anfusana wa illam taghfir lana wa tarhamna lanakunanna min al-khasirin. That over Allah, we did wrong to our life. If you don't forgive us and don't show mercy, then certainly we will be among the losers. And then this prayer is also there, that over Lord that over Allah, you don't twist our hearts. After that you have given us the guidance, and over Lord, we bless us the mercy, because you are the one who is the greatest giver. Then the Promised Messiah has mentioned, and there was a time like that, and it is again the same situation, that after ruku in the last rakat, this prayer should be repeated extensively. And say, Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanatan fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina azaban nar. That, O Allah, over Allah, grant us the success in this world, and also the success and victory in the hereafter, and protect us from the punishment of fire. So that teacher was there at that time, and it is there at this time as well. The Promised Messiah's prayer is Rabbi ighfir warham min as-sama, Rabbi la tazarni fardan wa anta khairul warisin, Rabbi asla ummata Muhammadin sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Rabbana aftah bainana wa baina qawmina bil haqqi wa anta khairul fatihin. O my Allah, forgive me and have mercy from heaven. O my Allah, never leave me alone, and He is the one who is taking care. And on the Ummah, reform them, and over Allah, and decide the matter between us and the people, and you are the best people to judge and decide. And then there is another prayer. O Lord of the universe, I cannot express fully thanks. You are most gracious and merciful, and limitless favors and blessings are upon me. Forgive my sins so that I may not be destroyed, and put the pure love in my heart so that I can get life, and cover up my sins, and enable me to do those things which are pleasing to you. And with you, I ask from your face that you have the blessing upon me, and have mercy upon me, and from the calamities of the world and the hereafter protect me, and every blessing is in your hand. And then this prayer is there, which he used to do in solitude. O my Allah, you listen to my supplications, I am all alone. O my protection, and I have been left alone. So my dear Allah, so don't leave me alone. I am with you and I am in prostration in your presence. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. So now please join in prayer.